Welcome to Shoot the Breeze, a series on our podcast that celebrates the messiness of life, relationships, and Christianity, featuring my wife Lacey and myself, Nathan. It's creatively titled because it will be just us shooting the breeze, sometimes with guests, while occasionally saying something important. We hope you enjoy. Hello.
Welcome.
We're like all chatty and everything before we start recording, and so we have to like pause and
I'm chatty.
do a
Hit me with a subject. I'll chat.
First of all, welcome everyone. My name's Nathan.
I'm Lacey.
And this is Shooting the Breeze. Shoot the breeze.
Shooting the breeze or shoot the breeze. I mean,
there's a breeze, and we're
shooting it.
taking a gun and we're shooting it.
No, honey, guns are bad. Remember?
Are they?
They're bad
Why?
because
people
say they are.
You're right. No, you're right. Guns are bad. Mm-hmm. We are stabbing the breeze.
I'm sorry, but that won't
with
work
a knife.
Either.
We're running with scissors in the breeze. How's that?
Throwing cheese to the wind.
Cheese to the wind?
Yeah.
Sheets to the wind. 2 sheets to the wind.
What's that?
Isn't that a saying?
Oh, speaking of sayings.
What?
I was right on that one time when I had a saying and you said it wasn't right, and it was right.
Pulling yarn.
No, telling a yarn?
Telling a yarn.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. We promised to get more interesting. I realized that was a bit tedious.
We don't.
I mean, I was bored, so.
We promise nothing, okay? There are no guarantees you get what you pay for, all right? So if you're paying for this, you're listening on the wrong place. Because we don't charge.
It's funny.
Anyways, sorry, serious. We got to get serious for a second.
All right, let's get serious.
We have had thousands of responses.
We have not.
We've had a couple of responses. We've had responses to a few of the questions, things that we've addressed in our podcasts. Mm-hmm. Some serious, mostly nothing serious though. And 2 responses in particular, and this is, a subject that has been very near and dear to our hearts, was an agree to disagree dealing with hotel keys. And the argument was Lacey could care less about being responsible, and I was very passionate about being respectful to the hotel owners, to the hotel clerks in returning keys when you check out.
And so we get on with it.
So we've had responses to that. So Jesse says this.
Yeah.
Well, I want this to be an official ballot. I'm with you on the hotel keys.
Me. Of course.
No, me. I don't beat myself up if I forget, but returning it seems like the right thing to do. This strikes.
Oh, he's turning it into a moral issue.
Yeah.
Nice, Jesse.
He goes, this strikes a nerve with me, though, because on a mission trip, I had a team member insisting that you do not return them ever because it has your credit card info on it.
On the hotel key?
Yeah, and they steal your identity.
That's just not true at all.
No, he goes, this is not true. But they were adamant about it. And I said, wow, that sounds like an intense...
been a younger, like a 12-year-old. That sounds like a 12-year-old, like a mountain, a 12-year-old Diane.
Yeah. I mean, we've both known people on mission trips, and there's some personalities who were like, the government's after you. You got to put your hotel key in a chip bag so they can't track it. Anyways, I said, that sounds like an intense person. Your ballot is fully submitted and has been fast-tracked to acceptance. So far, I'm winning. Jesse replied, yes, intense is a good way to describe this person. Thanks for letting me exercise the great American privilege of voting. We thank you, Jesse, for your comment.
You know what? Suddenly, I just had 70 more votes that came in that said that you're wrong, Jesse, and that my way's the best. So they're unverified, but they're all
You know what's crazy?
Accredited.
You know what's crazy is we all went home after voting, and then in the morning they showed up.
In.
He had a lot to say.
Do you think we'll be what's it called?
What?
We can't be impeached, but arrested for starting rumors? A riot with our podcast.
If you and I get in trouble for the things that we say. I feel like there's a lot more people with a lot more followers who should be more in trouble. Okay, true. Jesse had one other thing to say.
Oh, great.
He said, who among us didn't go through a Rob Bell phase at one time or another, you know? So I really appreciated that, Jesse, because I feel like I had someone who heard me. I felt heard and cared for.
Okay.
That was in reference to...
Move it on. Move it
I was going
to
say that was in reference to another podcast we did.
It is.
Dealing with my...
tendency to mimic.
Yeah.
Preachers that you love.
Yeah. So... Oh, that was Mark Driscoll. That was the Mark Driscoll one. Oh, that was... Oh. If you did not hear the Mark Driscoll one... No, it was before
the Mark Driscoll
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Daniel said this. You, Nathan, are so right about the hotel keys. So there's been 2 votes to apparently 70.
I don't trust it because you're the one getting the emails and you're the one approving them to be read on the video. So
what was that?
I said you're the one getting the votes and the emails.
All forms of voting are approved. Just because nobody decided to inform you of any votes that you may or may not have.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that if you win this voting, I'm going to riot.
Okay.
Nope. You can't say that. I'm going to peaceful protest. Okay?
Right. Okay.
Wow. Hey, on this episode, we are doing some question and responses.
Yes, we are.
We heard you, and we have some fantastic questions, some great stuff. I was really hoping, I'll be honest, I was really hoping for questions like, Lacey, is that your natural hair color? If not, what do you recommend? Like really easy stuff.
What do I recommend?
Yeah, like how do you color your hair? Or Nathan.
Well, that is not an appropriate question. Okay, we have been over this.
Nathan.
Wait. Here's a question for the masses. Is it appropriate to ask a grown woman if she colors her hair? Because I kid you not, when I go out in public, I have no less than one person a day ask me that question. And I don't feel like it's any of their business, honestly, to ask me if my hair is real or not. It's my hair. It's on my head. Wouldn't they feel bad if it wasn't my hair on my head?
Whose hair would it be?
You run a risk of that. Well, you know people wear wigs. I mean, that happens. It's a part of life. Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the question I get all the time is, number one, is my curl natural and is my color natural? And you know what? I'm not even going to tell. I'm not going to tell y'all because it's my business and I'm a grown woman and I should be able to not be asked that question, even though I don't care. I just think it's odd that people ask me that. I had like an 18-year-old boy ask me that the other day. Weird.
Other questions that I thought we would get. Nathan, who does your style? It's so incredible.
Like your clothing?
Yeah. And like I'll tell
dresses you?
Yeah. And I do. If you're wondering, it's me. And the style I go with is, I call it simplistic, minimalistic.
You know, you look like you're from an Old Navy catalog. I mean, it's not that.
Great. I'm very particular about how I dress. Charcoal gray. It has to be a tri-weave, also known as heathered. It cannot be a flat gray. It has to be a tri-weave heathered gray t-shirt with jeans. Now, I do vary my jeans. I have black jeans.
Oh my gosh, I am bored. I want to leave. Don't turn it off. I'll get him on topic.
Okay, anyways, we did not get those questions. We got incredible questions, though. Really good stuff. And the first question...
Well, I thought we were going to talk about something fun before we got into the questions.
Oh, we can. I thought you turned it off. I was talking about style, and you're like, I'm bored.
Well, that was boring. What I want to talk about is interesting.
What do you want to talk about? Do you have a subject on your mind that you're... What?
Coffee.
Ooh.
Coffee's exciting.
Okay. So this is something we can both get behind.
This is agree to agree. Welcome.
This is agree to agree.
So this is one of the funniest things is one night I turned to Nathan and I was like, do you ever go to bed at night excited to wake up and have coffee? And I know, you know what? I do most of the time, and he does as well.
I do. It's one of the things that has kept our marriage together.
It is. It's something we always have been very unified on. Is number one, good coffee. And number two, prepared well.
Ooh. You know what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to slim down our audience right here. Ready?
Oh, coffee tea people?
Huh? No. I'm going to call out things that are not good coffee. First of all, Keurig.
No, that's disgusting.
Keurig
is disgusting. I'm sorry, but if you like Keurig, it's just because you don't put enough time into your coffee, and you're really excited that you can put that little pod in there and just go for it.
Boom, done.
But let me tell you what, as a friend, as somebody who cares, that is not coffee. Oh. Keurig is not your friend.
Ready? Other things I'm calling out. Starbucks.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is controversial, but Starbucks is not very good. And we might legitimately get sued for bad-mouthing Starbucks. So.
I have more.
More brands to
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to get much money from us. Okay, so here's the thing with Starbucks. I will give them...
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. So when Lacey and I travel, you know what you're getting when you pull up to a Starbucks.
It is true. You're getting burned coffee, but at least it's stronger.
It's consistently burnt coffee.
Consistently burned.
The other thing, though, hold on. I have had my own personal protest, peaceful, against Starbucks.
Does that mean you burned one down?
No,
I'm sorry.
That'd only be if it was a Walgreens located in Portland. No, my own peaceful protest is I was kicked out of a Starbucks recently because I didn't have a mask on.
Okay.
And I was gonna order coffee and just run to the bathroom while they were making it. Well, I couldn't even get to ordering the coffee because they're like, you have to have a mask on. And I said, no, I don't. I have an exemption. They're like, we don't take exemptions. And I'm like, okay, you also won't take my money. And I left. So I
don't feel like that story's really about coffee.
No, it's about masks. It's about...
It's like Hot Topic, shoot the breeze.
I know, right? What other hot topics?
I know, right?
No, because I feel like I'm not living in Venezuela.
Okay.
I have rights.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And my right is to breathe without a
mask.
Moist cloth covering my face. Anyways.
So speaking of moist cloth cover, we have been using a filter lately for our coffee, where before we just went straight French press, which my friend expressed concern over me doing French press for so long, because she said she read a study randomly that you can have more heart problems by not using a filter. I've never source checked this.
I feel like it's fake news.
It might be.
Oh, fact check.
Fact check it. Somebody.
Fake news.
But anyway, we had a French press for, I don't know, like 8 years.
Yeah.
And we were really good about it. We really loved it. And then we just got sick and tired of waiting for it to get done. It just took so much longer. So now we have one where we can set a time for, like I know most of you are like, of course you can have a coffee pot like this, but when you like bougie coffee, you don't usually have a timer.
Yeah, no, we've honestly,
but we've moved to the timer set coffee pot, and it has changed my life.
But
it has changed my life.
But it is.
Nathan's looking at the audio measurements.
I know she's like yelling into the mic. It's a bougie coffee maker, though.
It is.
It's like we used to have a bun.
The buns are nice, though. Buns are nice.
As long as you have good coffee and you have enough coffee in the bun.
Well, we used the bun like a pour over because it had one of those tanks in the back, the heated tank. But this one is OXO brew.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it like a siphon brew? Because it kind of like filters up the water. I don't think it's a siphon.
It's like a pour over, but it's really fast, and it's highly rated, and I got it off Marketplace, and
it's amazing.
Changed my life.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. This is one of the many resources we make available for free at our website, cultivaterelationships.com. Our resources have helped people grow in their relationship with God and others. We've seen people set free from uncontrollable anger and paralyzing fear. We've witnessed estranged family members be reunited after working through our freedom booklet. We've helped people build healthy relationship and coping habits through our coaching videos. And all of these resources are made available for free because of the generous support of people like you. If you would like to become a partner, please visit cultivaterelationships.com/support. Now, I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode.
I have a controversial statement.
Ooh, yeah. I love controversial statements.
The controversial statement is sweet tea is gross.
Tea is gross.
No, tea is delicious, but sweet tea is gross. And unsweet tea is where it's at. And I said it, and I'm going to get run out of Texas, but that's the truth.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to take your controversial statement and raise
and up it. Okay.
Sweet tea and unsweet tea are nasty.
Oh my gosh, a real hot day, like a hot Texas day where it's over 100 degrees.
Nope.
And you just pull into Chicken Express and you get yourself a big old nice
Can you not
unsweet tea.
Can you not give...
So good.
You can't give free advertising.
We've been throwing brands away around all episode.
Yeah, we're disparaging brands. That's fine.
I feel like our ability to bump sales at any of these establishments is really not going to make a difference.
Minimal. Well, I was going to say, if we're promoting stuff, I'm actually currently drinking a coffee from Numinous.
Yeah, you are.
I like you,
and
Numinous.
It's delicious.
It is good. Thank you,
Numinous.
Numinous.
They're very good. They do a good... Hat is off to Numinous. Mm-hmm. They do a great job. Coffee.
Yeah. Fun fact, we came from a community with a roaster who was, I forget, what is the magazine called where he's like featured in roasting magazines?
I actually do not keep up on the roasting magazines, but
Barista. Maybe it was called Barista.
It's a really good coffee shop, but there's a lot of great coffee shops in Alaska actually because it is so cold and so winter all the year that people want to that people want to drink coffee all the time.
I have a fun topic. Alaska, what is it? Dairy Queen sells more ice cream in Alaska. More ice cream is sold in Alaska than any other state.
I feel like we're shooting from the hips with all of our fun facts.
Pew.
Shooting the breeze.
Shooting the breeze.
Shooting the breeze with the fun facts.
With a dart gun. No, not a dart gun. What is it?
You're back to the weapons? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Let's do our first question. Let's circle back.
Oh, now you want to do questions?
I do.
No, what is it? Nerf gun. That's what it is, not a dart gun. Okay, first question. Do you want to read the question? Or do you want me to?
Okay, this question is from Christy, and it is, what are the healthiest ways to decompress when you are surrounded by chaos?
That's a great question. So I think maybe the way we can address this or respond to this is maybe give some things that we personally do to decompress. One thing I do is I like working on my website on the Cultivate site. Like I like coding and stuff like that. And it's like one of those things that I do that is like an immediate like gratification because I can see the design when I'm done. So like I would say what is, something artistic, what is something creative that you like to do that can kind of help you decompress. So that's one direction you could take. Another thing is I have recently started doing this that if I feel like my day is getting crazy, today's one of those days actually. Today was one of those days it started so poorly. So poorly. We're not getting into it because this is a positive and encouraging podcast. So poorly though. And I got to my office so late that I barely had any time. I have this one commitment where I go to a prayer meeting for an hour at noon. And I wanted to get the majority of my work that I had on my list to do done before I went to that prayer meeting. Needless to say, didn't happen. Went to the prayer meeting, and it was so encouraging, so incredibly relaxing. So praying, that's one thing I do. I've read in a book recently. I was hosting His Presence by Bill Johnson. He talks about how if you take 5 minute, like do a 5 minute vacation, if you feel like your day is getting so crazy, so out of control, so out of hand, whatever it is, what he'll do is take 5 minutes and pray and ask God, what are your thoughts toward me right now? What is your thoughts towards me? And you just kind of sit and listen and wait, and that's been also beneficial for me. What about you? What are your thoughts?
I have two trains of thought with this. And the first one is I think that we have been taught in the church that we have a hierarchy of time. And the hierarchy is this, and you probably heard this before. It's our time needs to go to first God, second family, third work, right? Fourth ministry, or vice versa, depending on the hierarchy. It could be ministry or work, depending on it. And then the last tier is friends, relaxation, all of that, right?
Hobbies and
right, and that tier is rearranged depending on who you're hearing speak on it. But what this hierarchy does is it puts you into an attitude of a lot of expectation on your life, where you're constantly gauging, are you giving enough in one area or giving too much in another? How do you readjust your life to fit better so that it's not out of whack? A lot of times people confuse our time with God as ministry time.
Well, I was going to say that I feel like you nailed it. That's where the false expectation comes in, is they redefine ministry as God.
Right.
And they have to put ministry now in front of their spouse, their kids.
But let me continue with this thought real quick. So this hierarchy idea, and I think the problem that we have with this hierarchy idea is it puts it firmly in our grasp as to how we are supposed to control and set our time. And it doesn't leave a lot of room for the Holy Spirit to lead us. And so I think that, not that it's bad to have structure. We all need structure in our life, and some of us have really intense structure that is just set up with our work schedules. But I think that if we release this pressure we put on ourselves with the hierarchy, and we go to the Lord, we go to the Lord and say, the Lord, this is my day. How do you want me to spend it? What is your priority for my time? Not what do I need to put first, second, third, fourth. Because we already make a plan if we have that hierarchy, and we don't let the Lord lead us. And the Lord might be like thinking, man, your family's fine today. You really just need to take a break and read a book, or vice versa. Your kids really, really need you engaged. You have to cancel so that you're able to engage. And I think what that does is when we release that pressure of the hierarchy of our brain, it allows the Lord to come in. And the thing about it is that the Lord is so creative with how he can take our time and our energy, how he can expand it, how he can give us ideas that really increase our impact. I read a book this last year on George Washington Carver, and he was one of the most amazing people in the impact that he had. A lot of people know him as the man who kind of popularized the peanut, all the uses for the peanut. But what they don't really know is that in the South at the time, the farmers were failing, and that there was huge areas that were not going to be doing well. They needed a solution because they had worn out their ground. And so the Lord gave him the idea for planting peanuts, and then gave him the plan on how to make them useful, because peanuts were considered useful at the time. And the Lord would just keep popping ideas into his head, so much so that he had, I think it was over 1,000 ideas of how to use peanuts. And along with that, he would partner with Black families and neighborhoods, places that were needing help with how to create a livelihood. And so he was such an impactful man. But what he did every single day, even though he was so smart, he had all this he had all this seniority at the school, he had this responsibility. Every day he'd take his time, go out to the woods, and ask the Lord what he wanted. What did the Lord want him to do that day? Right?
So
and he'd do it every morning. He'd go out, and they said he'd sit in a stump behind the college, and he'd pray and ask, Lord, what do you want me to do today? And I think that a lot of the times things we begin in the spirit, we try to complete in flesh. And so that could be relationships, that could be even our jobs. We ask the Lord for a job, he gives it to us, and we're like, I'm going to take this now,
Right.
And But at the end of the day, it all comes back to everything that we have received comes from the Lord. And he is going to give us the tools. He's going to give us the ideas. He's going to give us the ways in which we're able to steward that well. And I guess what I want to say with all that is that I want to encourage you that you're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. But that maybe you're holding on to things a little bit too tight. And to allow the Lord to show you what things that you really need to be doing, putting your time and energy to, and what things you can release.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing.
Can I bring something to dealing with releasing?
Right.
One of the things I've added into my prayers, and we're really good at this. As Christians, we can be really good at I'm just releasing it to God, just releasing it to God. But something I've been intentional about bringing into my prayer life is receiving from God. So I may have to release a relationship. I may have to release a situation, or you may have to release a situation at work, or, whatever it is, something we have to release, an expectation, whatever. But oftentimes, if we don't replace that thing which we are releasing, we have a tendency to pull it back and try to control it again. And so what I've been incorporating into my prayer life is, God, I'm intentionally releasing whatever it is to you. What do you want to give me in return? And the principle is based on, Jesus uses, I think he was talking about demon possessed, but like you clear out a house, but if you don't fill it with anything, it's like 7 more things come back in. And so it's that idea of, okay, God, I'm going to intentionally clean out my house. I'm going to release to you these things. Whatever I feel like is making me feel chaotic, Holy Spirit, what do you want to give me in return? And as he answers that question for you, and maybe you still have questions like, what do you mean by this? Ask him, and kind of have that dialogue with God of what is it he's trying to replace in your life that will bring peace, and what are the things that he's trying to get you to release to him that will help bring rest. And it's like the analogy or the story when Jesus is on the boat, how he was able to release so many things that he could sleep even in the middle of a storm, right?
Right.
And so it's not that we want our environment to change, or we do, but maybe that's not an option. So what is it that we do have control over? And it's receiving what God has for us. So what was your second one? That was a good one.
My second point is that, as we've learned from the pandemic this last year, you can cancel anything. And I've told my sister this for years, and it was really funny because when they canceled Europe, I told her, I just texted her, I was like, see, they canceled Europe. You can cancel anything. Because
canceled Europe?
Well, they just they banned flights to Europe.
Oh.
Do you remember? Everything got canceled this last year. And so this is
the Olympics.
Everything got, I don't even know how I can say it differently. Everything got canceled. There was nothing too sacred that did not get canceled this year.
Or even things that were sacred that were canceled.
Everything was canceled, right? And so I know that caused a lot of pain and chaos and a lot of issues, and so I'm not demeaning the cost. It was a cost to canceling things. Mm-hmm. But in our own personal lives, there is really nothing you can't cancel if you need to. And I say that because sometimes we feel such slave to our schedule, and that is just not healthy. And so it might be time to evaluate and say, what is the reason I'm keeping this thing? Is it because I'm afraid someone's going to be mad at me? Well, that's a people-pleasing mentality. Is it because I'm afraid that I have my kid and all these things and it's driving me nuts? Do you have a fear with your kid that they're not going to survive if they're not in a bunch of stuff? Like, what is the heart reason?
And the very thing that you're anxious over, you're building anxiousness into your child if they're not constantly busy.
Right. And sometimes it's just the season of life is really chaotic. And so, a good example is somebody that just has a newborn or is working a lot extra. I mean, or has a newborn and is working a lot. I mean, any of those things can, and some of those things I understand they're not changeable or you can't really cancel them, but there are areas you can cancel and you can say, listen, I can't do this or I can't be this right now. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And, so I want to throw that out there because sometimes we use responsibility as an excuse to really drain ourselves. And generally, if you have good friends, they're going to be like, no, we support you. We love you. We want you to take this time. And if you don't have that kind of support, you ask the Lord, put it before him, and he's going to show you what you need to do.
Yeah.
But
well, that's good. Yeah, I think the analogy you and I use is seasons. Mm-hmm. Like life has seasons, right? You know, you have winter, fall, autumn, spring, summer. Are autumn and fall the same?
Yes. There's 4 seasons.
So
I have a good example actually.
Well, no, I was gonna say if you find yourself something is continuing beyond a season, it's turning into a lifestyle. I think that's maybe where you need to start reevaluating. Okay, it is a crazy season right now, right? Crazy season. But if you've been saying it's a crazy season for the last 18 years, maybe reevaluate. Right. Or if you're just constantly going, I'm exhausted, I have so much to do, I'm just constantly busy. Okay, but you've been saying that for 3 years.
Right.
It's no longer a season. It's unhealthy. It's become an addiction. Right. Yeah. What were you going to say?
Well, back to kind of the example of things you can't change, right? So back when our youngest daughter was little, I mean, she was 2 or 3, and she desperately needed a nap every day. And she was a terrible sleeper. This child, she slept on my face until she was 5 years old. And I'm not exaggerating. She'd be on my face, and I'd turn my head to the side because that was as comfortable as I could get. And she'd wake up and hold my face between her hands and go, Mama, I want to feel your breath on my breath. And I mean, it was really intense. And I know a lot of you are probably judging me because, you know, you have all these tricks and tips to make kids sleep. Here's the deal. They don't work. They didn't work. I did what I had to do to survive.
I was going to say, to quote Trump, wrong.
I mean, and those of you that have the kids that won't sleep, you know what I'm saying. But she just didn't sleep. And then at the same time, that was I was a few years into trying to figure out some of my health stuff, and I was exhausted constantly, right? And so she'd have nap time every day, and I'd think to myself, great. I can get this done. I can get that done. I can kind of get back on my game because I was just feeling like I was running behind all the time and just tired. And she would not take a good nap unless I would lay next to her. And so the whole time I'd just be laying there like full of anxiety, just thinking about what I should be doing and all that. And I remember just praying about it and the Lord saying to me, you know what? I have this for you. I have a nap for you every day if you take it. I have a nap for you snuggling your daughter. And I know what you need, and I want to give it to you. And stop feeling guilty and stop feeling like you need to do all these other things. Just rest. And so I embraced the nap with her, and it was a life changer because then both of us were rested. We were both able to just, because when you do anything and you're not fully into it, your body is kind of responding with that anxiety, And so I just remember being like, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
But I had to be willing to release what I wasn't doing and what I wasn't getting done because the Lord knew what actually was needed in that season. And I'm happy to report today that she's still a terrible sleeper. No, I'm not happy, but I wanted to kind of lead you in the wrong road there. She's a terrible sleeper. I don't even have anything else to say. Yep. She doesn't sleep well.
Nope. Okay, next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you feel like we covered that one?
Yeah, I was just laughing because you said nothing about the sleeping.
It's not funny.
She's 10 now.
Too soon. Still too soon. This question comes from Stacy. how do you continue praying with hope for a miracle for a broken marriage while at the same time releasing someone who clearly doesn't want to be with you? Yeah, how do you have hope for wholeness, for reconciliation, for a miracle? And this one is, talking about the context of a marriage, with someone who is kind of done. They're done with the marriage.
It's a really, really hard one because there's so much emotion that goes with that, and the living out of every day, right? Where we're kind of, I feel like people are made in such a way where we like to move through things. We don't like to camp out in the middle of things. Right? And so when you have something presented to you with such finality, like, I'm done, I want out, the tendency is to be like, okay, I'm going to move on no matter how painful it is. This is what I have to do. And just that moving through. And I'm not saying that that's not healthy. Moving through and moving on to other things is, the Lord brings us through things. At the same time, there is the reality that God can redeem and he can restore all things. And so I think really that is spirit-led. Yeah. I don't think that's a question that can be answered as a blanket statement for any and all circumstances. I think it really depends on what the Lord has told you. If the Lord has given you hope for your marriage, if he's given you hope that he is going to do a miracle, then you believe in faith.
Yeah.
And you can release the person and their decisions and choose to forgive. I mean, I think that's a key, is continually forgiving and releasing the harsh things said or the actions taken. But I think that you can still have hope that God can work a miracle. And I know people that have walked that road that have had to go through the motions of doing what their spouse wanted them to do, but still had that faith that God was going to move and kept their heart in a place of receiving from the Father instead of receiving doubt. And does that make sense? Do you want to clarify at all?
Well, no, and I was going to say, I think as you walk this incredibly difficult road, and again, if God has called you to have faith for your marriage, you have to surround yourself with people who can partner with you with faith and hope, and who will pray with you. And on the days that you are just like, I'm done, you can borrow their faith. Will you please pray for me? Will you please encourage me? Having a community of people around you who can build you up in that. This is not a road you can walk by yourself. We were never, ever designed to be by ourselves. And so being able to invite people into this situation, this journey, is massively important. And like Lacey's saying, though, all of this, the responsibility you do have is walking in forgiveness, because no amount of faith is possible if there's hurt, bitterness, an unwillingness to forgive in your heart.
Will grow up.
And it'll destroy any faith that you do feel like you should have. And so making sure that you're inviting people in and that you're intentional with the community that you build around you, people who will partner with you, not necessarily to agree with you, but who will pray with you, who will say, hey, God's, desire is for wholeness, reconciliation. And I think that's the other thing, is that through this process, making sure you have healthy expectations. Right now, maybe the responsibility you have to have is walking in forgiveness. That's it. You just daily, you wake up, I forgive. And not even looking at reconciliation.
And naming what you forgive. I forgive.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that sometimes we think forgiveness has to be for really big, hurtful things. But sometimes it's the little hurtful things that really stick with us and create stickers in our mind and heart. And so...
well, it's amazing how such a teeny tiny pebble in our shoe can affect the entire way we walk. And it's those little teeny tiny things that can build up and cause that bitterness, right?
Right. And so like we're saying, this is not something where you can put a blanket answer on it, but you can take away certain attitudes to have. Number one, believing that God always has a way of redemption and restoration, that there is always a miracle.
Yep.
Number two, being willing to be where he has you for as long as he has you, to not try to hurry things on because they're uncomfortable. If he wants you to sit in that place or stay in that place.
Yeah.
And number three, to be constantly forgiving, releasing, and seeking what it is the Lord has. And you know, that it's not concrete. All of this is kind of like willy-nilly all over the place because those are those kind of situations.
Yeah. Okay, so I do want to take a couple shots here. One is I am not a proponent that God causes things in our life to teach us something. I think that is the things we learn are his redemptive side. God does not cause pain, bring about divorce, bring about hurtful situations to teach us something. He is a redemptive God, though, which means he can make things work out for good, sometimes even better. But it doesn't mean that bad thing was his will. That thing that was hurtful was his will. Pain, suffering, loss of a relationship, loss of health, sickness, those are not of him. They are not his design, but he is also redemptive. And I think making sure that as you're walking through this, one of the tools we have is the Freedom Booklet. And so highly recommend that, dealing with forgiveness. And dealing with some of the thoughts or beliefs and maybe lies even that I can imagine tempt you, being able to release those to God and receive his truth. I highly recommend the Freedom Booklet. But that was going to be the other thing I was going to say, is that in a situation like this, there's already so much pain and hurt happening in a situation in a divorce. Adding to that, Bible verses that would add to that pain and that hurt. A Bible verse that is usually brought up is in Malachi about God hating divorce. People use those verses to, I think, blanket statement people's behaviors. This is a bad behavior. There's so much more going on there. And that's what I'm saying is I recommend.
Are you saying to not?
You can't
let verses be used against you.
Exactly.
Okay. Because I think there's value in being able to be like, no, I believe for redemption because God's heart towards divorce is this way.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it's I think we can heap upon ourselves, we can heap upon other people. This is going to sound bad, but like unnecessary Bible verses that only bring shame rather than life and wholeness. God's desire is for wholeness, redemption. I'm trying to think of a way to say it, but that, I don't know. There's a lot of hurt surrounding divorce. a lot of natural hurt with divorce, right? I mean, that is one of the reasons God hates it, is he understands what it does to the heart, right, of people. So he already understands that pain. He already gets that. That's not what we're designed for.
I think the biggest thing you're trying to say is that verse is not one that you should look at and just sit in shame with.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
There is a truth that is in that, and it is accurate. I mean, the Lord doesn't like it because he knows the cost, and he doesn't like it. And you can use that verse positively by being, Lord, I know you don't like this, so give me your redemption in it, right?
Right.
But what Nathan is trying to say is he doesn't want you to be paralyzed by the shame of that verse, because God is for you.
Yes.
And he's not left you to figure this out alone. That because when you use that verse in such a way where it brings shame, what it does is it makes you feel disconnected from the Father. Yeah. Like he doesn't even want anything to do with you. And that is not his heart at all.
No, the reason he hates it is because he sees all the pain that it's causing, and that's not his heart for people. And so even amidst these pain, he has a plan. His plan is to make it good. Man, that was a deep one.
How far along are we?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We have one more question.
All right.
Yeah, we have one more question. I'll let you.
Okay, I'm going to paraphrase here.
Yes.
And this topic is the question is on singleness, and what is an indicator of being contented in your singleness versus discontented, and how you kind of sauce that out. And what the asker is asking is as a recent divorcee, I am walking through a time where I feel whole in Christ, but would still like companionship eventually. The problem is I feel like I keep running into the implication that I need to rephrase that. The problem I feel like I keep running into is the constant implication from married people is that I want marriage because I can't control myself. How can I communicate when I'm feeling better? What can I say when I feel like they are prejudging a relationship that hasn't even occurred yet and may never occur? Number one, I feel like you just gotta be careful who you talk about this with.
Yeah.
That if it is people that actually care about you and know your story and know your heart, that they're going to actually have good advice for you about this. It's not going to be judgy. And if it's actually challenging and they care about you, that might be something to consider. But that not everybody's going to be answering this well, because, I mean, you know, Paul talking about singleness and all that, they're going to want to bring that one up to you. And not that singleness is not a calling for people. It totally is, and there's really good reasons for it. But also marriage is a calling, and it's just as valuable. Marriage is...
I mean, the whole church Jesus analogy is based on the illustration of marriage.
Right.
Kind of deep, kind of important to him.
So I think kind of starting with the base answer that marriage is good. God loves marriage. God loves singleness. He loves marriage. Yep. He loves blessing us with spouses. That is his heart too. He gets excited about a couple that loves each other and loves him and has a family. You know, that makes him happy. So kind of start with that premise that your desire to get married is not a bad desire.
Right.
But the thing that people could be hitting on is maybe they're seeing something about the way you're doing it or the way they wish they would have done it, and they're commenting on it. And so the only way really to sauce that out is it someone you trust and you want their opinion?
Right.
And I mean, that's what you got to ask yourself.
You know, I was going to say a great way, and this goes with dating, a spouse, friendships, counselors, people you seek advice from. This goes to every relationship. Look at the fruit of their life. What is the fruit of their life producing? If you want to know what someone thinks, not just because of what they say, look at the fruit of their life. How's their relationship with their spouse? How's their relationship with their kids? How's their relationship with their parents? Look
and
at the
don't
fruit
be
of their
afraid
life.
to ask why are they saying that? Why are they feeling like it's bad for you to pursue that? What's the thought process behind it?
What do you specifically see in my life that's making you say that?
And take it to the Lord. Lord, is there any accuracy in this?
Yep.
Is there anything you want me to see from this? But like I said, these are from trusted people. These are not just anybody, because you know, it's a tender issue. I think, especially if you are a divorcee and you're walking away from a marriage and an experience that is painful, that you want people speaking that are going to be spirit led and sensitive to your heart in it. But I think you just starting out with the base knowledge that God is not unhappy with your desire to get married. That is not that doesn't make him unhappy at all.
No. You know, there's a great, one of my favorite verses Paul uses. He goes, there's some who are eunuchs by birth. There's a physical issue. There's some who
so
are...
you're going to explain eunuchs. You were all like going all like...
No, there's some who are eunuchs by birth. There are some who are made eunuchs by men. Stuff happens. And there's some who are eunuchs by choice. And I think, you know, when you basically looking at it with regard to relationship, going, listen, you know, there's some people who God has gifted singleness to. And if you have, I want to preface in a healthy way. Okay. This is someone who was addicted to pornography for years. So I'm not advocating that. Okay. But if you're like, man, no, I just need a companion. I just want a companion. My guess is you probably don't have the gift of singleness. So, again, this is a broad, you know, oversimplification of the subject, but just recognizing, you know what, if God is going to make me be single for the rest of my life, he's also going to give me the grace for it.
Right.
And if there's a grace lacking, but you're still single, man, okay, what are the areas, asking yourself, God, what are the areas that I can, that you're working on me on? Like, what are the things that you desire from me? And I would say, okay, here's what I would say. Obviously, if you have a job, go to your job. You have kids, you have to be a parent to your kids, but get involved in ministry. Get involved in what God is calling you to, what is something you're passionate about, and then look around. And the people who are beside you are obviously the people who have the same passion, same calling. Maybe just start there. I would, for those of you listening, our dog just came into the room. And I'm not an advocate for there's only one, and if you missed it, you just missed, you missed the one God had for you. I'm not at all. I don't believe that. Man, I would just get involved, serve. Who are the people that are serving around you? And, are they marriage material? Are they someone you're like, hey, okay, cool. So anyways, that's my advice. How did we do?
I think it's fine.
Great. Hey, guys, if you have any more questions, if you have questions about the answers we gave.
Oh, gosh, it's like a rabbit hole.
I know.
It never ends.
No, we love this, and we hope that it was fruitful. We genuinely hope that it was beneficial. And if you're just like, man, you guys are way off, ask us better questions.
Journal about it. No, I'm kidding.
Journal about it. No, we genuinely hope that this was beneficial for you. We hope that... our prayer, in fact, I'm going to pray right now. God, I ask that your Holy Spirit would speak to these individuals, God, that you would bring peace to all three of these questions, that you would bring a clarity, Father, and a wisdom that is in line with who you are and your character, God. You are a God of relationship. You are a God who brings peace. You are a God who desires relationship first and foremost. Father, you don't mind it being messy. You don't mind it being, you don't even mind, Father, our failures. You just simply want us to seek your face. And I pray for these three that they would do that. They would hear your voice, that they would have ears to hear, and that they would have eyes to see who you are, what you're doing, and what you're saying, God. In your name, Jesus, I pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this very serious...
Shoot the breeze?
Shoot the breeze.
Throw the cheese.
Throw the cheese, shoot the breeze, run with scissors in the wind.
No, we're not allowed to.
Man, we're not allowed to do a lot of things anymore.
We can burn down Walgreens, though.
Oh! Yay! Peacefully, though.
Peacefully. We can have a peaceful burning. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.